or more competitive? More? Less. Middle school says less, high school says more. You're waving, don't ask. More? All right. Let me ask you this. Of your teachers, give me a name of a teacher or two that you think likes to bet. Bencomo? Mr. Bencomo? Mr. Bencomo, come forward, please. Mr. Bencomo. You? Who are they pointing? I can't tell who they're pointing to up there. Ms. Yao?
Yeah.
Ms. Jenkins Yao, come on down. Okay, well, we got 3 chairs, so one more teacher who likes to bet. Mr. Avendanya? Ms. Palomar, come on up. Come on up. It's easy. You're just gonna make a little wager. That's all. You don't even have to put in any money. I'm gonna take care of the. Well, you get to win something, perhaps. Now, give me the. Would you put those 3 chairs next to them? 3 teachers who you think are fair-minded, that could be good judges. Who? Fan? Ms. Fan? Who are you? I can't tell. Who are they pointing toward? Mr. Van. Mr. Van, they want you. Where's Mr. Van? Is he here? Mr. Van, come on up. Ms. Fan, come on up. And we need one more. Come on. Take one and pass it down. Right here. Just one. Take one and pass it down. Okay, here's what we're going to do. These are our betters. Now, all you have to do, we're going to have a little competition, a musical competition between the odd grades and the even grades. I'm going to have them sing something, odds and evens. You're going to bet, listen up, so that you know what we're doing here. You're going to bet. You're going to write on that paper either odd or even, who you think is going to bring it. So it's 7th, what is it, 7th, 9th grade, and 11th grade are going to sing together. 8th, 10th, and 12th are going to sing together. So you just write down odd or even, who you think is going to bring the most energy to whatever song it is that we choose to sing. You're the judges. And so afterward, you just write down odd or even. We chose an even or an odd number of judges, so there can't be a tie. If you choose the right group, if they agree with you, you win. Winter's coming. A nice, toasty, warm, thermal, Valiant sweatshirt.
Is there $100 with that?
We'll talk later. Okay. I think it should be the same song, right? So that it's fair. What are we going to do? Let's see. We got Get Together. We got we got a whole band here to help you out. I Love My Life. We've got what else do we know? We got oh, Try a Little Kindness. We sounded really good on Ponde Vita today. What do we want to do? What's your best song, seniors? Love Can Build a Bridge. Can we do Love Can Build a Bridge? All right. The song is going to be Love Can Build a Bridge. Right now I need you to write down odd or even who you think's and then fold it. So I don't want anybody seeing your answers. We're going to mix them so well no, I guess we have to know who you bet on in order to give you a prize. All right. Who should go first, odd or even? Odds come before evens? Odd grades. If you are odd, stand up. That's it. Okay, that's everybody. Maestro, are we ready? We don't have words. Where are the words? Okay. Did they get extra points for coming in early? No, just the odd grade choir members are standing. We don't have the music? Oh, you just do chorus?
Yeah, chorus, the chorus.
All right.
Everyone knows the chorus.
Whatever you want. That's pretty good. All right. Odds, you may be seated. Evens, take your places. Now, they may have an advantage. They're right in front of you. Oh, they're bringing light to it. Okay, judges vote. Did you already vote? Oh, you've already voted? Okay, the results are in. Even. Even. It's unanimous. Even. Let me get the shirts to see if anybody walks away warm and toasty tonight. And if we don't have your size, if you win one of these, you can trade it in for the correct size. Odd. You're very odd. Even. He voted even. You can trade it in again. What grade do you teach? Even. You're voting for even. She doesn't want me to see. Be proud. When you cast a vote, you should always be proud. Odd. See that? You made people happy tonight. Thank you for participating. Shirts for all of you. Let's hear it for our judges and for our bettors. Yeah, right over there, that front row. Okay, choir, it's your turn. Oh, you're here. I was filling in a little time until you got here. Thank you, Valiant Voices. Good evening, parents. Thank you for coming tonight. I know we moved it up to 5 o'clock, and so I know it was a little harder for you to get here this evening, but I think the topic that we're going to deal with tonight is one that is relevant to every one of our lives in this room. Social media is something that is affecting the mental health for better or for worse, and it works both ways in adults and children all across our country. And so, students, would you join me in thanking the parents who are here tonight? Thank you. Before we introduce our speaker, I do want to let you know, we had Mass today, very beautiful Mass, and I thank all of you for that. I can tell you that Carrie Tilton, the daughter of Dorothy Shea, had never been to one of our Masses before. As I mentioned to you this morning that Dorothy's been to many, and she loves coming to Mass here. But she brought her daughter today. It was the first time that she's been here. And she mentioned during our luncheon together that she teared up several times, that she literally leaned over to Mr. O'Donohue on a couple of occasions and said, are you sure you don't have any tissues? Because she was moved to the point of tears. And in 2023, with Catholic school enrollments going down around the country, with Catholic schools closing around the country, with membership at Catholic churches going down, with membership at churches going down. I don't know if you know this or not, the fastest growing religion in the country is no religion at all. Fewer and fewer people are going to church, and to have 1,100 young people worshiping the way we did today, we all should be proud. And so I thank you for that. And so I wanted you to know about the kind words that were said about you today during our lunch. I also want you to hear an email that I got this morning from our last guest speaker, Lloyda Lewis. And she wrote, Dear Principal Horn, thank you very much for sending me the streaming videos of my visit to the wonderful Esprit de Corps that is St. Genevieve Parish School. Esprit de Corps. Anybody know the meaning of Esprit de Corps? You look that one up. It's a very high compliment. Esprit de Corps. English teachers, include that in your lessons tomorrow. Esprit de Corps. I cherish reliving the incomparable St. Genevieve students, faculty, and parents in attendance on that October 11th night. You have a formidable student body at St. Genevieve. It sparkles. I appreciate your having dinner before we left. Thank you for having me and my friends who were with me. God bless you all, Lloyda. Valiants, that's the kind of power that we are having in the world today. And so I'm not going to introduce our speaker this evening. I have a group of students that spent a little time on Zoom with her the other day, and so they got to know her a little bit better than I do. And so I'm going to ask those students who Zoomed with our guest speaker to come forward to do the introduction. Are you coming alone, or do you have backups? Oh, you got two backups?
Hey, Valiants, how we doing? Good. So me, Annalise, Kaylin had the pleasure last week, as Mr. Horn said, of going on a Zoom with Miss Quinny and talking about the topic of social media. So we talked about it beforehand so that you guys could know and so that it could be applicable to your life. Miss Quinny is an active listener. She asked us our perspective of social media, and she's really respectful. She has done a TEDx video and actually went viral with 387,000 views on YouTube.
So Miss Amber Quinny is an executive assistant at Say Yes Buffalo. You'll probably hear about it from her. But basically, it is an organization that seeks to remove barriers to education, workforce participation, and economic mobility for students in Buffalo, New York. While they teach many things over there, She is here today to educate us on a major topic, which is social media.
Valiance, we've been bragging about you to her, so let's show her the Valiant spirit tonight. All the way from Buffalo, New York, let us get on our feet and give a warm Valiant welcome to Miss Quinny! Hi, welcome. So nice meeting you. I know. Beauty. Hi.
Well, hello. Hi. How are you? Just good? Okay, I had to go up. So I must say, that was such a beautiful introduction. First of all, I have like hardly any social media presence. So I know we got to meet last week, but some of that stuff I didn't tell you all. So that means you did your homework. So I want to say thank you. That was such a beautiful introduction and warm welcome. So thank you so much. I am grateful. I got to join Mass today, and wow, I couldn't have said it better than the guests who were also here, but what a beautiful space to be in. What a beautiful community to be a part of. So thank you for inviting me, and I'm gonna go right in. For our time together, I wanted to ask that you, I'll say this, not just open your ears, but open your heart. Open your heart, posture your heart, maybe to say, God, what do you want me to receive? There's a lot of information that you're gonna hear me say, statistics and numbers and data, but I think that there's something really personal that God would like each of us to walk away with concerning this topic. So don't just open your ears and hear what's being said, but open your heart. And hopefully you can leave here with some kind of a conviction or confirmation or just something that is personal for you. Sound good? Okay. So I would like to open with a reflection question. I'll open with a reflection question. So I want to ask you, do you know who you are? So hear me, right? Hear me. Not just here, but hear me. I know you know your name, I know that, but I'm not asking you, do you know your name? Do you know who you are? Do you know that I see some shaking of heads, I see some possible? When I say do you know who you are, do you know that you are powerful? Yeah? Do you know that you are loved? I think the mic just wants to be with me. So I ask that because we live in a digital age. How many people use social media? Right? We live in a digital age where we are bombarded on a daily basis with people's thoughts and opinions, people's messaging, and people's seemingly perfect lives and opinions, right? And that might cause you to question who you are. It might cause you to think less of yourself or even operate from what's called an inferiority complex. So I was doing some studying, and according to the American Psychological Association, an inferior complex is characterized by these constant feelings of inadequacy or insecurity in your daily life. Really just a belief that people or you yourself are physically or mentally inferior to others. It's not a good feeling. So what does this mean? It shows up in our personal thoughts and our personal narratives. So something like, I'm not good enough. She's prettier than me. Or I could never do that. Like it might show up with that kind of voice. And so in inferiority complex, it goes way beyond on happiness, but it is something that's deeply rooted inside of you. So essentially it changes like how you show up. It changes how you see yourself. It changes your sense of self, and that could be really, really detrimental. So I came 5 hours across the country not to make you feel bad about yourself. Absolutely no. But I do know God wants me to tell you, the internet, hear me with your heart when I say this, the internet cannot give you an identity. Why? Because God already did that. The internet cannot give you an identity because God already did that. So when I ask you, do you know who you are? Do you know that you are loved? I'm telling you, you are, right? So you might just have to borrow my beliefs today because it might be easy to clap and smile and pretend. We're going to talk about pretending later. But I want you to know that you are loved, you are accepted. In fact, you are the exact decision of God. When God made you, he didn't miss the mark, okay? Are we clear on that? So if you don't remember anything I say today, because I'm going to get into a lot of stats and data, I just want you to know that you are God's wonderful creation. I read about stories all the time about people leaving this world sooner than their time and people having all kind of traumatic experiences because their interactions online, and it's really because they don't know who they are. Our world is in an identity crisis. And I know you have a strong community here, but we also have individual experiences. So it could be easy to sit in a gym full of people and act like you're okay or kind of go along. But I just want you to know and to affirm that you are God's wonderful creation and brilliance is inside of you and you do have a purpose. What does that mean? Everybody who came in here, everybody under the sound of my voice, no one of us came into this world unequipped. We all came with gifts, right, deep down on the inside of us, and we are all here for a reason. We are all here for a reason. Maybe your reason is to be the next leader of this country, the next leader of your community, the first in your family, to do something, but we all have a reason. So I want to say to you, as you go through life and you graduate from season to season, that purpose will continue to unfold, but here's the reason I'm saying all this. God has a purpose for your life, but you can't fulfill that if you are addicted to the internet. Make sense? Okay, so now that we got out the way, hello, my name is Amber. I come from Buffalo, New York, and this topic that I'm going to speak on today is actually one I started writing about when I was in college. So I was a marketing student at Canisius College. It's a private Jesuit college, now university in Western New York, and while I was there, I got accepted into the university's research program. So I was really interested in studying social media effects, like really interested in digging into some of the data and the dialogue, the conversations that were happening across the country in different scholar communities about social media consumption. And I wanted to understand like its impact on students and working people and really just anybody who uses online platforms. So that was about 5 years ago, but this topic, it continues to resonate, I would argue even more than before, all across the globe. Why more platforms continue to emerge. We find ourselves on the other side of a global pandemic. More and more users are joining the online world. And we're beginning to see like the real life tangible effects of daily social media interaction. And so I think we all know that at times social media can be toxic, maybe even addictive, and really unfriendly. And we live in this world of social media, well, it can feel irresistible. I talked about earlier how I barely have an online presence, and to some people, it's like, how? Like, how can you, like, how? And that is completely understandable. So the challenge is a lot of those unhealthy behaviors that we're gonna dig into, they become normalized, right? And so it can be hard to admit that something that we participate in on a regular basis is not healthy or it's causing us harm. So I want us to all engage in this opening exercise. It's really easy. You stay where you are. You don't have to move. But it's called raise your hand if. Really simple. So how it works is I am going to say a statement, and you just raise your hand if the statement applies to you. Is that cool? Okay, but you have to close your eyes. All right. So if everyone would just close their eyes. I see your eyes. Everyone close their eyes. And I'll tell you why after, so just follow along and trust the exercise. So raise your hand if you ever logged onto the internet for one thing. Then 15, 30, 45 minutes later, you are distracted, doing something. Look at hands going up already. Doing something else, and don't even remember why you logged on. Okay, hands down. Raise your hand if you've ever compared yourself, your family, your life to someone you saw on social media. Okay, hands down. Raise your hand if you have found yourself developing an insecurity after using a social media platform. Okay, hands down. Raise your hand if you've started a task, but you just can't seem to finish because you don't have time. Okay? Hands down. And lastly, raise your hand if you've ever witnessed or been impacted by any of the following: online gossip, cyberbullying, people oversharing, being insensitive, minding other people's business, lack of digital boundaries, judging people, feeling sad, depressed, or bad about yourself after using social media. Raise your hands high if that applies. Okay, everyone keep your hands raised, keep your hands raised. Now open your eyes. So, the purpose, you can put your hands down. So the purpose of this exercise was for us to practice owning and admitting when something is not right so that we can take forward steps to change the behavior, but also, here's the main piece, so we know that we're not alone. You saw the other hands that were here. It's not about the other faces, it's not about who's what, but it's to know that you're not alone. Does that make sense? So some quick facts about user count, just kind of to lay out the landscape. And I have to say before I go on, I came with slides that I wasn't able to download, so I'm going to do my best for the next so many minutes to engage and interact with you, since you won't be able to see the slides. But we will do Q&A after, so if there's something that stands out or something that I kind of mentioned and breezed by, but you want to hear more about or you want some feedback or something on, please feel welcome to engage during the Q&A. So kind of just some quick facts about kind of the online landscape. What does it look like? So I'll start here. There are approximately 8 billion people in the world. About 8 billion people. 4.9 billion people actively use social media across the globe. So that's a little over half. About 8 billion people, 4.9 are active social media users. But here's the thing, that number doesn't include people like me who barely have a presence. Those are active users. So that number is likely more larger. There are more people who may have accounts that are deactivated, but about a little over half the world uses social media. And so by 2027, that number is projected to be 5.8 billion. So point being, the number is increasing. Facebook, who here uses Facebook? So I was expecting all the hands in the back to go up where the mommies and daddies are. Do you all know what Facebook is in the bleachers? All right, so I asked because Facebook is actually the largest social media platform with 3 billion social media users or active users on the platform. YouTube. How many of us have YouTube accounts or consume or watch YouTube? Okay. So about 2 billion, right? About 2 billion for YouTube. So I'm kind of just laying out the social media landscape so we can understand, like, where are people spending most of their time? Which platforms are the biggest? WhatsApp. Have you guys heard of that? Okay, I wasn't sure. We use it on the East Coast, but I wasn't sure. So about 2 billion. About 2 billion. Instagram. I know that one's popular. All the hands go up. All right. Instagram is very similar, 2 billion. So if you notice a trend here with these top platforms outside of Facebook, which has 3 billion, it sounds like most people have more than one platform. That's true, right? For you all in the room? All right, just 2 more. WeChat. Do you all use that? Yeah. WeChat is a one more, I would say, international platform, but it has about 1 billion monthly active users. So I'm only going through the top ones. And then the last one, this is where I know all the hands are going up. TikTok. So wait, I think I saw somebody with 2 hands up. Do you have 2 accounts? Like, how does that work? I don't know. Okay, so last one. TikTok is about a billion users. So I like to be clear when I'm giving research data. So the number for TikTok is likely way larger than 1 billion. The reason being is this company only reports they only publish data for their marketing audience. They can only market to users 16 and above. And like my brother is 12, he has a TikTok, but he's not included in this number. So TikTok is probably up there larger with the 2 billion platforms. And then Snapchat wasn't included in this particular study, but anybody here use Snapchat? Yes. Okay. So, fun fact, Snapchat was actually the first app I deleted when I logged off the internet, which we can talk more about in the Q&A. So I'm going to go on, just a little bit more facts, just kind of to give you an idea of the bigger kind of picture or the bigger conversation around social media. So hours spent online, one of the questions that we talk about in research is like, well, how much time are people actually spending online? We know which platforms have the most users. How much time do people actually spend on the platforms? So this data is coming from an external group. So this isn't like Facebook published or Instagram published, but actual research groups who study this and report this. So as of the second quarter of this year, this is how recent this data is. Internet users, so generally speaking, across age groups, spend on average 6 hours and 41 minutes online daily. So 6 hours and 41 minutes daily. That's more than a part-time job, right? Specifically for ages 16 to 24, and I know we have a younger audience here, but just kind of for some context, ages 16 to 24, female users between that age group average 7 hours and 28 minutes, and then males in that same age group, 16 to 24, are averaging 7 hours and 9 minutes. So the ladies are spending more time on the TikTok, the Instagram, and all the other platforms. But 6 to 7 hours a day. 6 to 7 hours a day. How long is your school day, Mr. Horn? 8 hours. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to move along here. I'm going to move along. So this is recent, and I wanted to bring it to your attention just to really get a sense of how alarming this really is. So a little over 24 states are actually suing Meta, formerly known as Facebook, for its platforms, specifically Facebook and Instagram. And so they are suing, brought about a group law action suit, class action suit, because these platforms are alleged to be exploiting and manipulating youth and teens for profit. So this is really, really serious, and I think we're going to begin to see more and more of this even inside of the upcoming presidential election. So again, it's like you can hear these things and these headlines and you read into the lawsuits and just the different data that's out there, but it becomes real when it's like it's somebody you know. So I would just kind of listen to these stories and say, you know, wow, that kid is 17, I'm 17. That kid is 14, I'm 14. So when you see things like this, know that it is real. It's not just kind of just news that's floating around, but it's people your age, people who, you know, have families. So I'm just gonna read a little bit just to give you an idea of like, well, why are they suing Facebook and what's going on and why are they suing Instagram? We like Instagram, just to kind of give you some insight. So these states, California being one of them, I'm from New York being another one that's a part of this group lawsuit. They are alleging that Meta, again, parent company for Facebook, Instagram, have, and this is their quote, profoundly altered the psychological and social realities of a generation of young Americans. So what does that mean? They are saying, while Facebook, Meta, is clearly, like keenly aware that its platforms have these different features that cause physical and mental harm, they're not being held accountable. So they are saying that the algorithm, right, the algorithm that this tech company in particular use, it is designed to provoke compulsive use. Do we know what compulsive means? Compulsive or addictive, right? When you're scrolling and when you get dopamine effects, like when you kind of feel good when somebody likes your posts or when you see something that makes you feel good. They understand this, like they hire psychologists and different people who understand the brain to provoke a particular response in you. So a compulsive use, but they don't disclose this kind of information. The lawsuit also claims that, you know, features like the like feature, which is popular amongst most platforms, it promotes mental health harm. So young users like yourselves, right, who might interact with like the visual filters. How many people use filters? I'm raising my hand because I use filters on my own phone, okay? But it's known, right, through research, it's known to promote body dysmorphia and eating disorders. That's really serious. Body disorders and like dysmorphia and eating disorders. So in other words, looking at like people's perfect pictures and comparing your body and all the things that kind of go on. These things happen, and it affects people. It affects their mental state. It affects their well-being. So I'm going to go through a few social media effects, and I categorize them. Truthfully, I could really nerd out on this topic, but I know we have a time window today. So I picked out some that I thought might be meaningful for you. So 3 categories, and they're quick. I'm going to get right to them. But academics is one of them. So just thinking about how social media use or social media consumption affects academics, and then the impact of social media on youth self-image. And the last one is mental emotional, which kind of blends with the previous category. So there is a study that was done, and I do have to disclose, this study was done with undergraduate students. So when I first initiated my research, it was in the college community. I have yet to come across research that talks about the correlation between social media use and middle school and high school academic performance. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but my guess is that it's probably because of the age requirement. Most platforms, a lot of them, you have to be at least 16 to use. So if you are interested, I would say definitely look into that research, but I kind of just wanted to disclose what the population was for this study. So this study was essentially saying that social media addiction is a major problem, like just kind of admitting it. That was the thesis, and the objective was, if you know anything about statistics, to find a correlation between academic performance and social media use. And so there were 400 students in this study, and essentially, kind of just to give you the result, what they found was that there was a significantly higher use of social media amongst the low-performing academic students. So the students who had the lower scores, grade point averages, test scores, the kind of metrics that they were using, those group of students had the highest of social media use. Does that sound surprising to anyone? No? So I want to go on to the youth image one. This one was one that there was a lot of study about, and not to say it's more serious than the previous category, but it's very concerning. So we know that these platforms are like flooded with curated profiles and like showcasing these seemingly perfect lives, flawless appearances with like what people might call ideal body. This study looked to kind of explore this constant exposure. Like, what does that do? Constantly being exposed to images that are like, again, seemingly perfect, people's lives, and kind of like, what does that do? What does that do to your brain? What does that do to your mind? And it kind of looked at what expectations people had of themselves, kind of after being exposed on a like daily basis to these kinds of images. This study also found that high consumption of social media or use of social media, like it created this need for validation. This need for validation, or what we might call social approval amongst people. So meaning like the number of likes or the number of comments, just kind of needing like followers and people to kind of validate your self-worth, or even measure, may be a better word, to kind of measure how you feel about yourself. So a lot of these things, I think, if we all kind of just reflected in a circle about our social media experiences, like we could come up with a lot of these thoughts, because it's like, it feels like an elephant in the room, but it's different when there's like actual hardcore data that suggests that. And honestly, it's pretty alarming. Kind of just this pressure to present yourself in this perfect or idealized way. So then the last thing was, one of the kind of endpoints of this study was that external validation can lead to the adoption of just really unhealthy behavior, such as excessive self-promotion. This is something when we talked about inferior complex earlier, superior complex. Has anyone ever heard of that one? So it's the inverse of where you feel so highly about yourself. It's really like masking insecurities, and you kind of like make other people like feel bad about themselves as a way of building yourself up. So that self-promotion is kind of what happens when people are constantly like needing that validation, seeking attention through like provocative images or different posts. I don't know what you see in your timeline, but I've seen all kinds of things online that made me wonder, like, when did this become okay? Like, when did it become okay to like pose like this, or like be naked, if not half naked? And those are just my values speaking, not, to say what you should or shouldn't see. But these are some of the behaviors that they discovered in their research. And so overall, just resorting to kind of just a lot of negative experience, not to mention bullying, cyberbullying, and comparison, people comparing. When we did the raise your hand exercise, I wanted us to close our eyes so people can just feel safe. I know we feel safe in community, but sometimes we don't feel safe telling our business. But a lot of hands went up when we talked about, comparing ourselves. So last one was the mental emotional one. And so this one is really serious. Psychological issues such as depression. And let me say this, depression can be very deadly. Depression hides behind smiles. That's something I know, right? And so we see a lot of people smiling, even online, and have no idea, what people may be going through. And so that's why I think it's so powerful to be in a community like this, where you have people who love you and who care about you and who know you enough to know when something's not right. Like, hey, are you okay? So psychological issues like depression, anxiety, even sleep disorders, and different health risks, even smoking and alcoholism. Like, how did we get here just from, using a platform so often? But these are the outcomes. So outside from academic, outside from self-image, these are the outcomes that were found. So this all leads me to say this one statement. Social media is the biggest threat to your brain. Am I anti-social media? I'm not. I think there are a lot of powerful and productive ways to use these different platforms, but social media is the biggest threat to your brain. There is psychological data. It is taking space in the political climate. We all have real lived experiences that could suggest this, but we live in this world where, again, people don't know who they are. People believe every headline they see without fact checking, so there's like a spirit of ignorance, right, running on the internet, a lack of intelligence sometimes. And so I would say constantly scrolling day in and day out, to me, it's the equivalent of like stuffing your brain. If you can imagine like being at a buffet, like it's literally like just eating and stuffing your brain. And the challenge is, like, when you feed your brain at that capacity, the one thing you are doing is taking in all these different thoughts and emotions. And essentially, what you're doing is subscribing. So when you, like, follow a person or follow a profile or whatever you choose to follow, essentially what you're doing is subscribing to that mindset. And so when you, I don't know, you might have 1,000 followers, you might have 500 followers, 300, I don't know, somebody might have how many ever 1,000 followers, but however many people you follow, you're essentially subscribing to whatever you're consuming. And so this is important to note, because when you, again, brain stuffing, just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, you can go across the entire emotional spectrum, from happy, mad, sad, angry. Like, in a matter of seconds, you see a baby was born. Ooh, congratulations, somebody had a birthday. People who have innocent lives across the country are being murdered. Oh my God, like, what's happening? We need to pray. Then you might see a mass shooting news article. Like, you see all these different things in a matter of moments. Do you understand what that does to your brain? Is really what this conversation is challenging us to think about. So I'm kind of winding down here, but thinking about social media effects, I think one of the biggest concerns is that it causes people to lose their voice. And so what do I mean by that? When you are subscribed to so many different things in the world, and you're hearing so many different thoughts, so many different influencers, so many different ideas, you're bombarded with everybody's thoughts, but sometimes you don't even know your own voice. You don't know your own voice. You know your favorite influencer's voice, whatever podcast you listen to. And these are not all bad. Let me please say again, I am not anti-social media. So hopefully in the Q&A we can talk more about some of the positive attributes also. But it's the point of just really this information age of bombarding our minds and our brains. And so your voice is your own. It's very special. When I ask you, do you know who you are? It's hard when you don't even recognize your own voice, your own thoughts, your own beliefs, but you kind of consume and take on whatever you subscribe to. So social media, I would say, in terms of kind of what people are challenged with, I call them like a pattern of P's. Social media has people in this pattern of P's. That's pretending, that's performing, that's projecting, that's perfecting, proving. I feel like most people on social media have something to prove. And procrastinating, that's the big one, right? So pretending, I'm gonna go through these really quick. I won't, because the slides aren't here, so I won't spend too much time. But pretending, just this pressure to pretend to be someone you're not. Performing for likes and attention. Perfecting, right? Or presenting this idea of a perfect version of yourself. Projecting, so maybe projecting beliefs onto you, or thoughts. Proving, posting to prove something. And then procrastinating. When I asked how many people have started something, any kind of task, it doesn't have to be online related, but seem to not be able to finish because they just don't have a lot of time, a lot of it is because people spend most of the time scrolling all day. And I'm not talking about you all, because you're scholars, you're bright, you're brilliant, but I'm talking about like the 3 billion people who are online, right? Most people are just scrolling online and they're just losing their time or giving their time away, so procrastinating. Okay, moment of truth. Can anybody relate to that one? Right, that's honest. That's honest. So I wanted to just share some thoughts with you to think about if anything that I've said so far has resonated with you. Just kind of give you some thoughts as to how to scale back, right? I'm not telling you to log off unless you want to or choose to. I think it's healthy every now and again, but just kind of some steps to scale back. Just understanding that, well, this might be a kind of regular part of our lives. Maybe you learn online. Maybe you connect with community online. These are really positive things. So what are some steps that you could take to scale back. So we started with self-reflection, so we're kind of gonna land there again. So I'll give you 3 questions that you can think about, you can take home and kind of think about. The first one is, how much time do I spend online? Let's just start there. And this is your own business, right? It's between you and you. How much time do I spend online? So, if you have an iPhone, it will tell you if you, turn on the notifications. And there's other ways for you to kind of assess, like, how much time you spend online. But I would kind of just start there. The second is, what is my purpose for using these platforms? Or, in other words, why am I here? Like, why am I on Instagram? Is it to be in people's comments? Is it to lurk? Is it to learn something? Like, why am I here? And then the last one is, how is my time spent online impacting my life? How is my time online impacting my life? That could be my beliefs, that could be my intelligence, that could be my well-being. But like, how does it shape me? How does it impact me? So I did a year-long social media sabbatical in 2020, yes. And I say this line in my TED Talk, which it feels like it just continues to be more true and more true as I do this. Ever since I logged off social media and logged back into my real life, it has changed my life. And so I did a year-long social media, sabbatical, but maybe Sabbath is the better way to say it. And the whole point was to really reprogram my mind. I was like a year out of college, and it was really hard, like post-college life, between just trying to find my place in the world, along with just being anxious and being depressed and figuring out, am I where I'm supposed to be, and all these thoughts. And so I decided for 2020, now this is before we found ourselves in a global pandemic, but coming out of 2019, I said, for the year 2020, this isn't just a new year, this is a new era of time, right? We're the seniors in the room. So you are going to be graduating soon, life after high school, right? That's not just a new chapter in your life, like this is a whole new time and space for you. That's kind of how it felt like for me. Like I didn't want to just treat it like a new year. And I was like, I need to do something very, very different for myself. I'm not going around saying, hey, everybody needs to log on, everybody. No, this is for me. Like I did what I needed to do for me. And so I stepped into the new decade offline. And 1 year turned into 3 years. That's a story for a different day, maybe for the Q&A. But I wanted to share these 3 things for anyone who is thinking about, maybe I need to step back, even if it's just for a week, that could really help you. So some tangible steps. The first is to reclaim your time. Reclaim your time offline. What does that mean? Once you figure out how much time you are spending online, take that time back. When you reclaim something, literally the definition is to take back what's yours. You get 24 hours every day. We get 24 hours every day. We don't earn them. Most of us don't deserve them, but God gives us 24 hours every day. So if you're spending 7 of those hours online, that's almost a third. Like, the first step would be to take that time back. And the second step would be to reflect and reimagine. What do I mean by that? Reflecting meaning, how do I feel now that I'm offline for 24 hours, whatever it is, 2 days, okay, now it's 3 days, it's been a week. How do I feel? Am I less anxious? Am I not comparing and sizing myself up to everybody I see? Am I not secretly insecure? Like, how am I different? Am I smiling more? Am I bored and I'm ready to go back, like, online with my people? Like, how do I feel? So just take some time to reflect and then reimagine. Like, what would it look like for me to go back? Do I just go back the same and just say, hey, I'm back? Nobody even noticed I left. But what does that look like for me? How do I want to be different? And then the third step is to re-emerge when you are ready. So you reclaimed your time, you reflected and reimagined. And so what does re-emerge mean? This is re-enter into the online and digital space. And I'll say this, when you're ready and if you want. As I mentioned, I logged off for a year turned into 3 years. It wasn't anything that I planned. It just kind of happened organically. So kind of in closing, these are some principles that I live by that I thought will be helpful for you. The first is if you don't have a positive purpose for using any platform, then log off. And you're probably thinking like, okay, who are you to tell me what to do and when to do it and what? If you don't have a positive purpose, and that's for anything in your life, then step away. It doesn't serve you, it doesn't benefit you. The second principle is that winning in life, winning is not, believe it or not, winning is not an indicator of well-being. What do I mean by that? You may see lots of people on the internet like showcasing their lives like, wow, she's really winning. Wow, he's really winning. I was that person. I am that person. And it got to a point where I'm tired of being Facebook famous, tired of being publicly successful and privately falling apart and feeling like, do I even want to be here anymore? And so what that taught me as I stepped away from the internet for some time, I realized that winning is not an indicator of well-being. Even when I see my peers or my classmates, wow, she's doing great, congratulations. Let me actually pick up the phone and call her. Hey girl, how you doing? Like, I see how you're doing, but how's your heart? How are you? How's your family? Sometimes we think that like having all the accolades and accomplishments that makes us feel successful, but I would argue that, success is a measure of our wellness more than it is than material things. So I learned that, and I wanted to share it with you just so you don't get into this mindset of chasing achievements to the point where you exhaust yourself, you burn yourself out, and life isn't fun for you anymore. And the last thing, this one is a favorite. You do not need an audience to live your life. I know that you may or you may not think you do, but you do not need an audience to live your life. You can have influence without the internet. In fact, I would bet all of you are influential. Your presence, how you show up, how you converse, how you engage, like you are influential. When people see you, they want to be like you. They want the spirit that happens on this campus. Like, they want to be like you. You are already influential. So again, I'm not telling you don't use the platforms that are available to us. Like, we live in this day and age, but what I'm saying is you had a purpose well before these platforms. So don't ever think that you have to have people watching your life to feel like your life is meaningful. So one of my favorite things to do is to write affirmations. So I wrote you all an affirmation, and we're going to close with that. So I'm going to ask you all to stand. We're actually going to say it together. Yes. All right. So an affirmation, in case you don't know, you might see these online. You probably do. Some people think they're just like positive quotes, right? An affirmation is the truth about you. It is what you believe about yourself. So practicing affirmation is really training your brain to believe a new story about you, right? So this affirmation is called, I am the star of my story. So I'm going to say the line, and then you say the line, okay? I am the star of my story. Okay, you have to say this next line with your whole chest. I love my life. I am grateful for my life. My life may not be perfect, but it is purposeful. Okay, one last time. I love my life. Thank you all so much. I love you. Yes. Yes. So we're going to take some questions. Yes. Okay, 5-10 minutes. Hey. Whoever wants to start. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh, I thought you two were asking questions. No, okay. That's. What is the most harmful thing I have seen on the internet? I've seen kids fighting and other kids recording the fight. And it was harmful because the kids, so they all come from the same community, like the same ethnic community, and it was just really sad to watch. It made me think about, again, the question I started with: do you know who you are? Do you know that that's your brother? Do you know that that's your sister? Like, why are we fighting? Where are the grown-ups? Why isn't anyone saying anything? And I think what was worse than me seeing it was the comments. And it wasn't like a one-off thing. This is something I've seen a lot of times, and it just makes me cringe. Like, then what's in the comments? Like, people encouraging it. Who won the fight? And this and that, and then it goes into the school world, the academic world, and then it's interrupting your classroom experience. So I think just kids harming each other physically and then saying mean things is something that I've seen that I don't like. Thank you for your question.
Hi. How did you maintain self-control when it came to like not going on social media?
How did I maintain self-control and then?
Like when it came to not going on social media.
Oh, so like being disciplined offline? Yeah, okay, so fun fact, I'm not new to logging off. Like, I'm a seasoned social media faster. So it was probably like, it was 5-6 years ago, the first time I kind of took a pause, and that was when it was the hardest. Snapchat, as I mentioned, was the first one that I deleted, and it wasn't like I didn't have a strategy for being like disciplined to stay offline, so I literally had to just delete the app. But what I found was I deleted that app and just went to another app. So at this point, like years later, it's not even something I think about, but what I will say is early on it was difficult, and so I saw myself going from platform to platform, and I was like, okay, the platform isn't the issue, it's me. It's me. So logging off, it's like I didn't experience the full benefits until I stepped fully into it. For a long time, I was like halfway in, halfway out, like, okay, I deleted for this week, I'm back this week. It wasn't until I fully stepped away for some time and like really immersed myself in just being offline. And let me just add, being offline is not being off the face of the earth. Like, personally, one thing about me is social media is not my social life. Like, I have an actual social life, right? You all have friends, you have family, you have real people in your lives. So when I did find the courage to step away, because I needed to do it for myself, it was really a self thing. What I found out quickly was that, because you know we throw around the term friend online, Facebook friends, Instagram friends, like we throw around the word friends, and what I found was there is a difference between your friends and people who follow your life. And so for me, I felt like what was hard was like, wait, why am I like less social these days? That's because like most of the people that I was hanging with were online, and it's like, well, wait, I do have real people in my life. So I feel like once you actually commit to being offline, even if it's just for 2 weeks, you'll begin to see the benefits, and it's less difficult to be disciplined. It becomes something like you want to do. Thank you.
really good tonight, by the way. Is there something that you regretted from like the 3 years that you were off? Or something that you thought you could have done better?
Is there something that I think I could have done better? Do you mean like online? I'm trying to think of something, or offline? Or just in general? I haven't been asked that question before. Thank you for asking. I think, so maybe I'll say something I could have did differently is I would have stayed in touch. I would have found a way to keep in touch with the people that, so like Instagram. I'll use Instagram for an example. So I was really active on Instagram, and I met like a lot of people who aren't they're not from where I'm from, but when we're on Instagram, it's like we're all in the same room. And then I kind of just disappeared. So I think I would have did a better job of finding a way to stay connected with the handful of people who I did want to stay connected with. I think the thing was, like, once I logged off, I just never saw them again. But, fun fact, I ran into one of my Instagram friends recently on a cruise after being online for 3 years. I was like, hey, is that you? So if I could do anything different, I think I would have take the time to think about, like, hey, do we want to exchange numbers or emails? Because kind of once I logged off, like, that was it. So most of those people I haven't seen or heard from, and I do miss them, but yeah. Thank you. That was a good question. Okay. You said time for one more. Kind of. So I will say this. I remember this time where I was on the phone with a friend and something was trending. I don't remember what it was. And she was like, did you see whatever was trending? And I was like, no, I didn't know about that. And she was like, oh, I forgot you don't use social media. And it was kind of like, wait, friend, how did you forget that I'm not there? Like, social media is like one big room with everybody you know, plus the rest of the world, and then you leave the room, and then your friend doesn't realize you're gone. So I'm like, wait, how did you not know I was, and it kind of made, I'll be honest, it made me feel like non-existent. And not in my friendship, but in social media. It's just so large and so massive. It's like, wow, is my voice even heard? I thought I was there, and then I left and nobody knew, but I know she didn't mean anything by it. It's just, it's such a vast space, so much going on, so much information to take in. And when you kind of step away from that space, the space continues. Like, social media goes on even if you step away. So, like, people didn't, like, judge me socially, but what I will say, for business, yes. Coaches, I can't tell you how many coaches will tell me, like, how are you operating a business without social media? I don't know, but the money's still coming, the money's still flowing, like, it's like, so to that, I'll say that I was really, really going against the grain. Yeah, really, like. So I guess I'll just end by saying this. Logging off, if you choose to do it, even just if it's a week, if it's a day, you know, whatever you want to do for yourself, it is definitely going against the grain. People didn't understand it, and there was a time where I used to feel like I was missing out, but then it was like, I like this for me. Like, I'm peaceful, like, I'm not, like, I don't know, I'm happier. So there was, like, pressure, but I'll tell you this. Just about everybody in my circle, from like my mom and my closest friends, after that first year, they all logged off, and I did not tell them to. They voluntarily, like, yeah, I kind of took a page out of your book, and, you know, I took some time back, or, oh, I want to kind of finish school, so I'm just going to do away from that. I'll come back after I graduate. So, yes, you can do business, you can do life with or without social media. Thank you all. Thank you.
Check. Let's go. Roll, ready. Sorry, hold on. My keyboard turned off. Okay, ready, and 1, 2, and wait for me. One, two, three, and let's go. I'll be strong. 3, and I'll be strong. I'll sing my Savior's song. And now I love my life so. 1, 2, 3, and other mic. Pat mic, please. Is it on?
I hope that you will all invite any relatives you have who have served in our armed forces. Let me have your attention. Don't have your own conversations now. Come back to me. Come back to me. When the skirmish broke out between Israel
Yes. All right, here we go. All right, seniors, you're up first, okay? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and. Here we go! Over hill, over dale as we hit the... Hear them shout, thunder marching right about, and the army goes rolling along. Then it's hi, hi, hey, the army's on its way. Count off the cadence loud and strong. 1, 2, and wherever we go, you will always know that the army goes rolling along. Cadence and juniors, we're always ready for the call. We place our trust in thee. Through howling gale and shot and shell to win our victory. Semper Paratus is our guide, our pledge, our motto too. We're always ready, do or die. I Coast Guard, we fight for you. Sophomores! Walls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. For our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marine. Air Force, pull it back. Okay, here we go again. No, hold on. Follow. 1, 2, 3, and off we go into the wild blue yonder, flying high into the sun. Souls of men dreaming of skies to conquer, gave us wings ever to soar. Flying men guarding the nation's borders, we'll be there, followed by more. In echelon we carry on. Hey, nothing will stop the U.S. Air Force. Everyone, U.S. Navy. Anchors away, my boys, anchors away. We'll never change our course. We sail at break of day. By 7 shores we learn Navy's stern call. Faith, courage, service true with honor over all. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from I'll have a lead sheet eventually, but... Okay, alma mater fight song, please. Ready?